Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Firepower Podcast. This is a podcast where we chat everything firepower by the amazing Robert Kirkman, Chris Somney, Matt Wilson, and Russ Wooten. Today, I'm your host, Bash, and I'm joined by my friends and co-hosts Charlie and Ali, and we're going to be discussing Firepower issues number 5 and 6 to round out the end of the first, I guess the second volume, because the first volume was the prelude, so second volume. How's everybody today?
Doing good. It's a Monday. Just got back from work. Reread the issues again yesterday, and I noticed a lot of things that I didn't catch on my first reread. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd been doing pretty good. I had a pretty packed weekend. Was at Fan Expo on Saturday and started school this morning. Back at school for a couple more months, so that wasn't too bad. Ended early today. Went and saw Bullet Train. Pretty enjoyable. But yeah, so that's been good. Got a chance to reread these, and yeah, super excited. These two issues are pretty big, pretty action packed, but yeah, pretty big issues.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forget, like right now it's the con season. I mean, I guess it's hard to forget there's reminders everywhere, but we just had like back-to-back cons, and I can't imagine really being the creators, like whether you're one of the Massive Verse creators, whether you're one of the Firepower creators, whether you're just like any comic book creator, because you're just constantly, you have this like
It's
whole
like
convention.
every
Yeah.
week they're somewhere else. They're a different city, different state every week.
Yeah,
It's a lot of traveling.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that that is crazy. One thing that really like makes me curious is like I get they practice all the time, like, but the celebrities, like, they have to smile like thousands of times. Like, they have
Yeah.
thousands of people lined up. Like, I can't even take
Yeah.
like 10 pictures. My smile gets a little,
Yeah.
wonky. And but yeah, no. Anyways, but yeah, no, it was good. It was freaking packed. Like, it was like last year there was a little more space, but this year is like in the main convention room is like shoulder to shoulder. It was like
All these like sweaty
anxiety ridden
nerds.
at times.
Yeah.
I know it was
I know the
so
feeling. Like when you go to a convention, it's big. Like literally
oh,
everybody's a sweaty nerd. You got people in
oh,
costumes, you got people with tails, you got, you got things you're just not used to. And
yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's a
there
ton
was
of
this girl
fun.
with like like she had like 6 foot long wings that like stuck out the back.
Wow.
She was just like knocking people over. It's like probably not the best idea, but whatever.
Yeah. How's Fan Expo?
No, it was really good. Other than the waiting for lines and packed, it was good. Got to line up and meet Giancarlo Esposito. That was really fun. That was again long line. But got to meet Otley in the morning. It was funny. I actually saw. I'm sure you guys saw that new TJ's picture that he saw, or like that new jam piece or whatever, with all the Otley and like he did it one by one, but I saw that like on the list signed up. Like he came like right in the morning, right early. He was the first one on the list, so that was funny. But no, got to meet him, got to meet Otley, and yeah, got a lot of little Green Lantern issues and figures, and yeah, met a lot of cool people, and yeah, I went with my brother, so always good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love conventions. Unfortunately, this year I know there's with a few conventions some like controversy with foil books and whatnot, but like it's just it is what it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, no, I like love and hate conventions because like there's all the good stuff, but also like there's a lot of like politics,
Yeah,
and I find that like there's a lot of bullshit. Like stores and certain people get access to things like much quicker, or like certain people just won't have access to certain things. For like I know stores, I know a lot of stores that I know personally that got sketches and commissions done because they had access to those artists early.
yeah,
And it's like to me that's kind of unfair because it's just like, well, I'm like, if, like you, for example, like you're the person paying money and going and waiting in line, like you should have like a genuine chance. But like at the same time, I get it. But yeah,
yeah.
I can't imagine someone like Otley. Like I imagine like in the morning everybody was waiting. Like so someone
It
like that.
was, it was,
Yeah.
but like his things were so damn expensive. There's
Yep.
like when I went in the morning, I think there was like three names on the list. Like TJ was number one. There was like two other people, but damn, those like it was like $1,200 for a head sketch. I was like, holy
Wow.
shit! I was like, not
TJ's
kidding.
lucky because he probably got in on it back when, like, he's probably gotten
He
several
said he's been
commissions
working on that piece for 3 years
for a
too.
long
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
no,
so
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
right.
and he's been buying pages and commissions for like what, over 10 years now, like for a while. So it's like he's been buying them way
Oh
before
yeah,
they're very expensive. Like they're very smart, is what I'm saying. Like that guy has so much Invincible or just like just Robert Kirkman's like Invincible Universe, like original art commissions and stuff, and he got in early. He's very smart. Now, like if you try to get Invincible original art, it's insanely expensive. Whether you're just getting a commission or you're buying a page, or they're all like very, 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 very insanely expensive because of the success and well deserved, well hard earned the success.
sure.
Anyway, let's talk about firepower. So yeah, last issue, was a pretty intense issue because we find out that there's some strain in the relationship between Owen and Kelly, and they got to do a thing, where they go out and kind of reinvigorate the relationship because things have been on the down a little bit with just life and everything, and not to mention also the whole revelation about Lingzan and how there's still fingers lingering.
I see what
Anyways,
you did there.
so yeah, the last issue we ended on a cliffhanger where Kanabo grabbed Kelly by the throat, and this issue we literally pick up right from there.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, literally like doesn't pause. And I like when you're reading this through the trade, like yeah, I didn't even know. I read the trades the first time and you don't even really know there's a stoppage there. Like I actually had to like search up the issues and like figure out what the last pages were. But just because it's such a smooth transition. But no, it's like I kind of love that in a way. Like it's kind of, you can read it both ways. Like either on the monthly basis, I actually couldn't imagine it. But no, it would be pretty cool because it's no breaks. You're right to it, action, and like the suspense just like picks up right from the start because yeah, it's a pretty crappy situation right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I like those when you're reading it in trade, it's really nice because it just really it picks up like right where you ended. So it is really nice. Yeah, overall, I'm honestly surprised again, something they mention in the RC coda later on by how good, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but more like impressed with how good the coloring is here because like Chris said, they're switching on between a lot of hot and cool moments, but at the beginning especially hot because it's very just action oriented. And I really like the design of Kanabo because I just think like he has that cool like reptilian eye on his
I
shoulder.
love that. That's my
Yeah.
favorite thing about his suit.
And yeah, I like how Owen's entire mood kind of changes when they're fighting each other. Like he's usually like, we know him as like the nice dad and everything. And obviously at this point the reader like is aware of his history and everything, but he's not usually this serious. Like he doesn't usually throw some like banter in there and try to piss off his opponent. But here you can tell like there's a lot of strategic thinking. Like he's trying to distract his opponent while Kelly, can get herself out of the chokehold or just like his grip on around her neck. And that's what happens, right? She like kind of tries to get a shot off. He gets disoriented, and that's where Owen knocks him off his feet, and that gives her a chance to escort everyone out to get a little cute moment where I thought it was funny because like this is exactly what I was thinking. Like if I saw some crazy lady in front of me at a restaurant, like a very pretty like lady dressed up all nice, and then she just pulls out a pistol and is like yelling at people to move, I'd be kind of like freaked out. So that's
Yeah.
what she realizes, right? And she pulls out the
Yeah.
badge, and that's really cool. I just like that whole page. I thought it was really cool, and I really like the manga like nature of how Kursamni's drawing a lot of the action in terms of like how you see the quick feet movement. There's one panel where like he just kicks him so fast that you just
Oh yeah,
barely see
yeah.
the foot. You know what I mean? It's just like a
Kind of
moving
like
blur.
blurs
Yeah,
out.
yeah. It's like this really good use of motion blur. So I really like that. I like how like you see that Owen is a superior fighter, and you don't just see it in like this hokey like, oh, I just beat you up even though you're huge kind of sense, but it's like we said earlier, it's his approach and his demeanor in the fight, his calculated nature. Like he's like Batman basically, but not really. You know what I mean? Like he's thinking like 3 steps ahead, and he's thinking both physically and mentally. Like it's very cool to see him kind of think it through, telegraph his moves and then do them. But yeah, I just like the dynamic between him and Kelly. I like that there's like this unspoken understanding between the two of them, where like, okay, like she got out of the grips and now she's trying to help the rest of the people. There's that like cop instinct, the protective instinct, and then there's his instinct of like, yeah, okay, I'll handle this while, you get back to it. They have good. I feel like this the
Almost like
first.
Batman and Robin in a way, right? Like they just
Yeah,
have the dynamic. They
Yeah.
just have the dynamic down. Like they've. It's almost like they haven't gone through anything quite like this. I don't think like with these assassins, but you can tell like they just have the chemistry ready. Like they don't even need to say anything to each other. Like they just know what they're doing, and it's really fluid in a way.
Kelly's no damsel in distress that needs like saving. She can handle her own. We've seen her in a few issues ago when she was chasing the guy after he beat up Reggie. But here, this is on a whole other level, and she still got it. She doesn't need Owen. But I love how they work well together. And also, don't forget when it's been mentioned before multiple times that Owen is a very quick learner, and he picks up moves and people's fighting styles while fighting them. So like as the fight keeps going, you see him, like Bash mentioned, he keeps getting the upper hand as it continues.
Yeah, and you see how strong. Bash, what did you say this guy's name was? I forget this guy's
it's
name. Like
Kanabo, like
Kanabo.
K-N-A. Yeah, Kanabo. Yeah, it's a weird name, but yeah.
Kanabo. It is a cool name. But no, you get to see like little taste of his strength, like the firepower, like literally puts, I don't know, not probably his whole strength into it, but gives him a little taste of his firepower. And you see, I'm assuming he's like taking his club up and kind of just blocking it away from
He just
himself.
bats it like a baseball.
Face. Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
just unfazed. And then you see Owen gets a little hit, and he's a goner right into the table, and yeah, it's not looking too good for them.
Yeah, and it just shows you like also first of all, obviously Chris Samney's amazing fight choreography in terms of how he laid out the story, how he lays out the action, everything, some good stuff there. But also like I like that there's a little bit of humanity here and that they're playing like at their base humanity. Like, Kanabo is taking advantage of the fact, and he says this earlier, where like you sure you wanna do this while like my hands around your wife's neck? And then like, Owen hits back with like, okay, your girlfriend, like, are you sure that I didn't kill her? I'm just like, okay, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. And he's just like, oh, I left her hanging out back. She might still be breathing. And then the guy just runs after her, and I'm like, okay, like this is pretty cruel, like this is pretty serious stuff right here. And it's like it's all happening so fast, so I can understand like the intensity is probably amped up to 11. And there's a lot of like opportunistic like just like action here, like they that's their cue to just get the fuck out of there, like let's get up and leave, because clearly we can't really win this fight right now. And also obviously Kelly had the revelation in the moment. She's like, oh my god, the kids are probably in danger.
Yeah. It's an awesome transition too. Like they're like, okay, we gotta get the car, like let's go, and then it just cuts like right back to the kids, as we saw last issue, all that awesome page with the whole crew there kind of camping up in the tree as they had what was his name? No, not Timothy. Not Timothy. He looks like a Timothy.
Tyler, you're talking about Tyler?
Yeah,
Tyler. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tyler. So,
I
yeah,
knew,
you just see his face. They talk about it in the back, but you just feel so bad for this kid. Like every panel he just kills me.
you just know like he was gonna do something stupid here, and inevitably he did. And it's like I get it. Like he probably, like if I was in his shoes, I probably wouldn't be able to take this stuff seriously. Probably thinking like, okay, I'm just going to meet this girl I have a crush on in school or like whatever. And then there's this whole like ninja shit trying to kill people, and the lights are off, and it's like hard to take the situation seriously. And I think that's what just happened to him, where he's just like, look, I'm scared. Like, this isn't a joke anymore, and I just want to go home. And then he realizes, like, no, these people are like straight up here to kill people. And then obviously Haley comes with the rescue, and I really love the panel with her throwing plates, because it's very emotive. I love when Chris Samney is drawing like a lot of emotive kind of gestures or panels. I just love seeing like all the emotions it brings to certain characters. And he says that his favorite characters to draw, like, in the coda, it's Waylon and Owen. But for me, like, I really enjoy watching him draw like Haley and Doug, because I feel like they convey a lot of emotions always with their like exaggerated articulations and everything. But yeah, like even the assassins are just like, what? You know what I mean? So
they can't even believe that the kids had the balls to do this.
Yeah. And that's like I think when you're doing the page reveal thing, right? You see like one moment where that Doug is like running at them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're just like, oh, like it ends on that reveal where it's like you don't know what's gonna happen. You just see him charging. You're like, oh, is he about to like
He
put
even
to
does the
use?
the 2-finger thing that
Yeah,
Owen
yeah,
did
yeah.
in the
It's like his
beginning. Like, he's
Karate Kid
serious,
moment,
yeah.
and he like literally just gets one
Oh.
shot. It just gets like
Somebody
beat
got
to shit.
popped right in the face,
Poor
in the
guy.
back of the head. Freaking
Dude, I
blood
I will say
splashing
though
down.
that part like kind of shook me because this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the first time we've seen this much blood in this book.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, it's scary, and there's so many times you see nowadays, like you see so much people, like I remember, like even like I can think of like even in the Sandman, like people die from like like littler bumps in the head like this, like you see that all the time. So this injury kind of like this book's a little different, obviously, but this it definitely got me a little worried. I think, like you said, it was I think the most, yeah, definitely the most blood we've seen.
Yeah, and so it's just like at this moment I remember reading it the first time I was like I really hope Kirkman doesn't like kill one of these kids because like I don't think I could recover from that like reading this book, like we haven't had anything really dark in this book, of that nature kind of thing. So like so I genuinely thought, knowing Kirkman and everything, I was like he's gonna kill one of the kids, isn't he, this bastard? Thankfully, like that doesn't seem to be the case yet. So yeah, Haley makes a brave move, try to save Doug, which kind of works because she just delays, him getting his ass whooped more.
Yeah, she does a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, and she pisses off the other woman who I don't know her name. I forget her name, so I have to check that later. But yeah, she's bantering with her partner where he's just laughing at her, and he's like, I can't believe you let a girl get the jump on you, and she just gives him this death stare, and he's like, I'm sorry. So we know there obviously who's the superior one, but
And
so
this whole
yeah.
time, Tyler's just standing in the background, not doing anything, just like flabbergasted
With his
in the
hands up,
kitchen.
yeah,
Yeah.
just get me the fuck out of here. Yeah, no, no, he's not having any of it. And this page turn was like honestly one of my favorite pages when when you turn over, you see Doug just yelling like get my hands off, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be his kind of just like Super Saiyan moment, just comes out, shoots a fireball. You see the next page, a fireball comes and hits the person attacking Haley. But that's why I love that transition when they get in the car and just kind of leave it like, and then you go back, it's actually a very like smooth transition the way they do it. But yeah, it's actually Owen, you find out, who's throwing the fireball. But it really put in my head for sure, like the first time you see it, it kind of like it made me question if it runs through genetics or if it's actually something you have to know
Yeah.
and train for, which we've seen you have to know and train for. But yeah, kind of brings into question how easily they're able to do it, which yeah, this is gonna be cool.
Dude, like if you look, it's just like fucking Doug is surprised because he's like, oh
Yeah.
my god, was that a fireball? And then you look at everyone
yeah.
else, and they're just like hiding and reacting in the moment. And you look at Reggie, he's just like, or Tyler, he's just like terrified.
Oh yeah, he's already
just,
shit
like,
his pants like
gone.
10
He's
minutes ago.
traumatized for life.
He's
That's
just like,
it.
what is going on? He just looks like, is this real? Like, is this simulation? He's poor kid, dude. That kid's traumatized. Like, oh my god. And Haley's just trying to keep it together. And yeah, another scene that got me to like the oh shit moment was when one of them throws the katana. She slices Kelly's gun pistol in half, and then like kind of cuts her in the side, and you think at first you're like, oh, it's okay because it's just my dress, and then you see the cut and you're like, oh. And I just like, I think Kelly is like one of my favorite characters as well, so I'd be super bummed honestly if something happened to her. But we see the cases like she's actually okay, it is just a cut, but what's her name tells her that like, no, you should be very afraid, like I'm here to basically kill you guys, and I don't care if I have to take 3 of you in instead of 4. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like these guys don't sugarcoat anything. Like straight up, like she doesn't even mind telling her the mom, like she's gonna kill her right there. So yeah, I thought that was a bit cruel. I can't tell if that one's Jin or not. I think it's Jin, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. But anyway, that's the moment where you get the reveal where he's just like, are you with the Flaming Fist? Did Chu Fang sent you? And she's like, oh, you always wear a quick study. And I love this moment, this close up of
Oh.
Owen's like eyes with the
Oh, the
flames.
fire, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, this was so sick. The transition, like it was just his power up moment. Like he takes two hand, like literally the two hand blast. That's how you know he's not fucking around. He's going both hands, but he literally takes his head like both sides and uses the fire, tries to like burn their skull in, and then you see Kelly take out the sword, and then, or actually Owen take out the sword and use it. And I have we seen this before, or am I thinking of something else, like them heating up the blade? I think that happened in the prelude, or no, am I mistaken? Like them heating up a sword, I mean, and actually using it as a weapon.
I might have.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I
maybe.
think that happened. If
Okay,
it didn't
yeah,
happen here, it definitely happened in something we read because that
okay,
sounds
yeah,
familiar.
yeah, maybe not, but nonetheless, it was badass. Like it was cool as hell. Literally just
Yeah.
heats up the sword, stabs him right through the stomach, and yeah, no, that was a really cool move. And
Like
it
that
just
shows
shows
you a different
how
side
mad
of
he
him,
is.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
like
his
this
first
is like the
rage moment.
protect my children, right? Like kind of
Oh
the
yeah.
bear moment. Like he's just like a different
Oh yeah.
person. And this is what I wanted to tell you guys. Like rereading this, I noticed this before, like that he killed this person, but I never noticed how like dark this moment is. And they kind of even didn't talk about it in the coda. Like this dude just stabbed a woman in front of his entire family, like his whole family and some kid he doesn't even know, like straight through the you know the ribs, right? Like it's pretty dark. And yeah, just like his face and everything, it was a pure like mama bear protection kind of thing. And even Kelly's kind of shocked where she looks at him and she's like, did you? And he doesn't even answer the question. He just immediately like, we can't stay here, we have to go now. And you literally see behind him like she's stuck to a wall, like he fucking skewered her into a wall. You know what I mean? Like
Not
so
just the stabbing too. He literally roasted that guy's head. He put
yeah,
two
yeah, yeah,
fireballs on either side of his head. Like he just roasted his entire head alive.
yeah, yeah. Like
He's
Owen's pissed.
ruthless right now.
Oh
Yeah.
shit. Oh, okay. Yo, I thought it was the person that he stabbed. I thought they were
No,
okay
no, no, no.
after that.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, he
yeah, no.
roasted one of them,
Okay.
and then
Holy.
He
he
stabbed
stabbed
the
the
other.
girl.
Like he straight up
Yeah.
killed one of them. Like there's no way
Pretty
that
brutal.
person survived. Yeah, like
He had
there's no
no
way. Like how would you
intention.
live?
No intention
Yeah.
of throwing them after.
Oh no. And it's just like I kind of get it, and it's like that's part of like I can't tell if that's like his past coming back to haunt him, like both literally and metaphorically, because it's like, you know, in his past he's probably had to do shit like that. But I don't know if we've ever like I'm assuming I guess we could go back and check this later in a future episode, but we had to have seen him kind of kill like indirectly in the OGN, I guess, because like there was just all out war. So maybe he killed someone there, but like yeah, this is the first time I feel like where we're getting like a
I think
full close
they
up.
did note it, like him feeling bad, or like he was about to kill. Like I think in the OGN he did kill for the first time. They did
Yeah,
briefly talk.
yeah,
There was a moment when the Scorched Earth clan attacked in the OGN, and everybody started
Yeah.
all like with sword. They were fighting with swords. They were fighting to kill, right? And
yeah.
he grabbed a sword, and he didn't want to use that. And I think it was Ling Zhen who was like, "If you don't use that sword, you're gonna die. Like you gotta
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
to kill."
yeah. You like them. You have to like fight, you know, like with for your life or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good point. But yeah, I love that. I love that they didn't forget peanut butter, and I love that like we do get this moment where you know, like you know, Kelly's like, "Where's peanut butter? We gotta go." And I love this answer right now. 'Cause, like I locked him in my room and they busted. It's like what? Like it's just,
Okay.
like
Thinking
okay,
ahead.
like
All right.
yeah, like peanut butter probably like either's been barking the whole time or has been literally scared shitless. You know what I mean? So it's just like just the thought of like poor peanut butter being like this like freaking vegan like vegetarian dog, just like, I don't know, that was really funny. But you could see in the next panel he has him in his hand. He has peanut butter in his arms like when they're running into the car. So I just thought that was really cute. But yeah, I just again I love those motion blur panels from everybody when you see like things move. It's a good way to emphasize things moving quickly. And I just want to say this car chase scene is amazing. And the first thing I thought when I was reading this, and I'm not kidding, I didn't even see the letter section, the coda before, because obviously I read it linearly. So I read this and I was thinking, man, this reminds me a lot of Terminator 2, like a lot. And then I read the coda and he was like, oh man,
Nice.
I can't believe you created a Terminator 2-esque, like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, that's what they're, okay, that makes sense because it's a lot like that, and in the best way, not in like a rip off, no, like inspired by, like you could tell it was inspired by that, good like tribute to that. And yeah, I just love that fucking Kanabo, man, on the back. Like, there's just like, this comic book physics everywhere here because like, how can a motherfucker that big? Like, this is like crazy things happening. But I just thought it was amazing. I do agree with Robert that the compositions here by Somni are amazing. Like, this is a very difficult kind of scene, I guess, to kind of create and to do well, and he just did an amazing job. And of course, we talk about Matt Wilson and Russ every episode, but Matt Wilson, man, like and Russ even, like those fooshes that you're seeing whenever there's a fireball, like I just love them. One particular page, I think it just conveyed it very well. Is there's a page where you see Owen kind of charging up the fireball right as he's about to let it go, and he's on top of the car, and you could see Jin and Kanabo are both like Jin's like weapon, the chain is hooked up to the car, and then Kanabo's literally like he's in midair charging. I just love that whoosh letter from Wooten, man. Like you really feel the fire there. Like you could feel it building up and charging. It's like a Hadouken that's just about to smack you. You know what I mean? You see the blue energy like charging, and here it's like fire. So I just love that from them. And then obviously the three like very like where the unconventionally sized panels that follow where you get the unleashing of the fireball, just beautiful stuff, beautiful action choreography from everyone, beautiful contrast of colors, that like they said the first few pages of the story start off very hot because we got a lot of oranges and reds, and then we contrast a lot between the blues and the hot, the oranges and reds. So I think it's a very amazing balance done by the artist and just like everybody with the colors and Somni and everyone else. So good job to the creative team.
I love the part too when he's on top of the car charging the fireball up. You were mentioning before how the motion blur conveys things moving and stuff, but since the car is moving, all the flames are like, for lack of a better word, forcing back towards Owen, right?
Yeah.
While he's charging until he finally unleashes it all. It's a great like sequence. There's so much shit happening, but
it's cool how they show the
really
movement of the fire. Yeah, like you said, like the fire is going back, and then the next panel, it's like literally being like a volcano, like thrust forward. It's erupting, and it's just like it's a really cool way for them to play with that physics and everything. They do a really good job like playing with like layouts and physics and all that stuff. And even Kirkman mentioned that he's like, you guys, and that's like how you're working with incredible artists. I mean, we all know Chris Samney. Like I remember Ali, I showed you his the thing where I was because I didn't really know much about him in terms of his personal life or his history in comics, so I looked it up. And I think his first published work, he was 15 years old when he got his first published work for Professional Comics.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
he's something like that. Like, what? Yeah, dude, he's like a prodigy. Like nobody, like I can't believe nobody really talks about this, but he's like a legitimate prodigy. Like I'm not kidding. Like he is like one of the next big artists. Like I mean, I guess you could say now he is one of the big artists. Like easily, everybody agrees that. But like I never really knew that because that was when I was like not reading books when he first came onto the scene, like the late 2010s, the early 2000s. Like I never really realized like how impactful he was and how he like this dude's won Eisners. Like he's one of the big talents.
One of the things they mentioned in the RC Coda in this episode, I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but might as well. They mentioned how good he is with spacing. They first mentioned it in the fight. They were talking about it in the fight in the kitchen with Owen and the one that got stabbed or whatever. Like the way he maintains the space and maintains where everything is in a certain area, and then you can see that again here with the car chase, with the person being dragged in the back, Owen climbing on top, the fire, Kanabo jumping in. Like he's very good.
Oh wait. Sorry, go ahead.
Sonny's is very good with creating sequences that mesh together and make sense within a certain confined space, and you see that this is exemplified to the best way possible in this issue.
Yo, that's awesome. I just want to interrupt the brief pod thing for a moment to report that I just looked it up. So Charlie, you'll be happy to hear this. So Somni was 15 when he did his first professional work. It was published for an 8-page Silver Age Batman type story for Garrett Carlson's book. 15 years old, like. It's crazy. Oh, wow. And in 2009, Somni drew a story written by Ed Brubaker for Daredevil number 500. That same year, he drew The Mighty for DC Comics, working with writer Peter J. Tomasi. Tomasi would later recommend Somni to draw a couple of short stories he wrote for DC's 2009-2010 Blackest Night storyline. Tomasi would also subsequently hire Somni to illustrate the latter portion of Tomasi's creator-owned Image Comics series Battlegrounds, when the initial artist on it, Peter Schneeberg, was forced to leave it before completing it. So look, in what do you call it? These are his awards, right? In 2011, he won the Harvey Award for Most Promising New Talent for Thor: The Mighty Avenger. In 2013, he won Eisner Award for Best Pencil or Inker for Daredevil, Rocketeer, Cargo of Doom, shared with David Aja, or Aja, I don't know how you pronounce his name. And in 2021, he won the Inkwell Awards all in one award. His nominations for 2006, Russ Manning Most Promising Newcomer Award, 2011 Harvey Award for Best Artist, 2011 Harvey Award for Best New Series, and 2013 National Cartoonist Society Award for Comic Books for Daredevil. Like this dude is like a decorated artist already, and he hasn't really, like he very. I've noticed that he like I love this about him, that he takes his time with the projects he chooses. He doesn't do many titles at once. He does at most like two. So I just noticed that I was telling you guys this off camera that John and the Impossible Monsters is ending with issue 12, and that's the book he works on with his wife. Really nice book. I highly recommend it to anybody who's a fan of Chris Samnee and loves his artwork. It's just a very nice, heartfelt like kids book about a girl who's lost and who kind of she's like Tarzan kind of, and she's just and her sister basically goes out looking for her and finds her, but she's kind of different because this girl, the little Tarzan girl, basically grew up in the wild, and you find out she can just beat up monsters. Nobody really knows how. She's like super powerful. But yeah, I love that book. It's awesome. It's wholesome. Love what Chris and Laura are doing there. And yeah, that's his wife. They work on the book together. They're by Oni Press, so check it out if you like, kids books or stuff, and you have a younger sibling, maybe they'll like that. But yeah, so I noticed that's ending with issue 12, which is very soon, and that means he's going to be working on Firepower exclusively until he announces, whatever he's doing next. And I was concerned. I was telling you guys like, oh, are they going to end Firepower with 25? And we weren't sure. Some of you guys were saying like, I don't think so. We found out that no, like Firepower is not ending 25. What's happening is that 24 is the last issue of an arc, and then 25 starts a new arc. And it's like apparently what Robert said in the newest issue is that it's an oversized issue that's going to kick off a new arc, and that there's a lot to look forward to. I'm really happy because the fact that Chris is no longer working on John and Possible Monsters means like at least he'll have a little bit more time to work on Firepower. And I mean I don't mean that like I'm happy it's done. No. Like I just mean like he'll have more time. He won't have to rush. I don't know what the case is, but I'm just happy that he has more freedom to work on Firepower and whatever else he chooses to pursue. Love Kasami. He's probably my favorite artist working right now. So I
think they said there's a break between 24 and 25 though, right?
Yeah. There's a small break because they haven't shown. We saw 2 months of solicits after 24, and Firepower's not in either of those. So there's going to be a small hiatus, just like we had one recently. Yeah. So that's fine with me. Like they earned it. Like that's totally fine with me. Like these guys are like I know
these last 2 issues, especially the art.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we get to them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like back to Firepower 5, but yeah, like there's just a lot of things happening right now in the Firepower world that we're just very happy to celebrate. The fact that we're getting 25 issues and going beyond that, is huge. I'm personally very happy. I know you guys are. We talked about this. One thing I would recommend, and this is kind of getting ahead, but there's Firepower variants for I think it's like 19 to 23 or 18 to 23, the Gun G variants that are all just connecting, and they're amazing. I highly recommend people look into those if they haven't. They're very hard to find because not many stores ordered them, but they're not expensive. So that's why I'm saying go look at them before they become really rare. And because Firepower is low printed already, and those face variants, I forgot what they're called, like the headshot variants. Finch is famous for doing them.
Right? Yeah, Finch.
Yeah, he did the Walking Dead ones, and he did some for Firepower. Those are getting hard to find too, because while the first few were ordered, the later on, as the series keeps going, not many were ordered. So I've been having an awesome time hunting those down, and I'll probably display them one day when the series at least gets to a point where those covers are done. I'll put them up on the wall and display them for the pod or something, because they're so cool. They're really, really nice. Like for covers that you could find on discount at many stores, they're very nice. so yeah, just letting everybody know out there, check those out if you haven't seen them. There's a lot of cool variants for Firepower that they just started doing after like the midway point of the series, because before that they didn't really have variants with the book. Yeah, so check that out. Anyway, sorry for that slight interruption, and back to issue number 5. We're still at the chase scene. We're pretty much getting to the end. We see that Owen's using her power as well. Awesome chase scene. We don't want to, just like give it all away, but check it out. Amazing action choreography. Smart move from Kelly where she hits the sudden halt and just rams fucking Jin in the face, just knocking her out completely. Very nice. Even Owen lets her know that it's a nice one, honey. So I love that he like waves. I love his literally like he's like cheeky wave. Yeah, it's like at the end, they're both like knocked out of the floor. Like, who are you waving at, Owen? Yeah, I know who you're waving. Yeah,
It's just
but
just a
yeah,
breather. Like they're going so fast paced for literally like 3, 4 pages straight. Just comes to literally a sudden halt, and I just love I love that. Just the destruction too on the back of the car just looks so awesome in fast motion. And he's just so awesome at that kind of stuff.
yeah, for sure. So I agree. Like it's just a funny moment. And yeah, like you get back to the car and poor Doug, his face is all bloody and it's dry now, and they're kind of just all catching their breath in the moment. And in the coda, like they talked about how in between these pages, there's kinds of like a small time lapse that happened where they don't show where they like they stop the car and get the first aid kit and everything. I just thought that was a funny little thing to
Hey, don't
specify.
forget about Tyler. They dropped
Yeah,
they
and then
dropped the look it off in
they
the
just
middle of
let
the
him out
street.
in the middle of the street, and he's like, "Oh yeah, if it looked like they dropped him off somewhere where they knew they were dropping him off, that's
No,
not the case. They just like
no.
let him out because they didn't know what to
Yeah,
do."
this
Like
one
poor kid. Oh my
This
God.
one I did have a question about. I hope they turned or something, but like if you think about it, like they knocked these people out backwards. Who knows how long they drove, but they drove straight and they dropped Tyler off backwards, and now these people are running forwards towards them.
Yeah,
I
Tyler's
never
right
thought
lock-
about that. That's a pretty
Tyler's
I was
right in
thinking
the
about
middle.
it
Like
too.
it. Yeah, Tyler's right in the
This
middle. He's
kid,
just
this kid
he's a
probably
fucking
like,
pawn.
dude, like I imagine like my head canon, like that kid got let out of the car. Like Tyler got let out of the car. You see him there, like dead ass, just standing there looking at the car, like in shock, right? I bet right after like that moment, he just fucking bolted, like ran for his
Oh,
life.
I'm sure.
Just
I'm
like
sure.
ran as fast
I
as
don't
he
I don't
could.
think the Dragon's Claw would have given a shit about him, to be honest.
No, no,
But
yeah, I think they were
but
just
no,
like,
I just thought that was kind of funny.
especially like they're just like beat to shit and like burnt up. I don't think they're gonna like actually take the time and energy to like turn around and be like, oh, there's the kid, like whatever, you know?
I think they have bigger problems than Tyler. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love that the other shock in the in the car. It's just like they can't believe it. Like Haley's surprised, like what the hell just happened? Freaking Kelly's just like overwhelmed, and I don't blame her. She's just like, let me think, and then the two of them are the two kids are they're just like being kids, and he's just like, you're not even bleeding, talking. She's like, are you really bragging about getting
You're
hit in
not
the
working
head?
hard enough. Yeah.
I love their interplay. They're so funny. But yeah, I like that. I like that. They're all like very calculating and everything. But the next scene, they decide to go to Reggie, and I thought, okay, that's smart given the whole situation, and everything. They don't want to like put their parents in danger in the moment and everything. So I love that little panel right before they enter Reggie's house where he's just like, can some does explain how dad can throw fireballs. It's just like he's in utter shock, but also, I like that they show, how, Owen hasn't forgotten about peanut butter and he gives him a little water, little good boy. And that's where we get a little exposition dump of the story, and he's explaining the firepower and what it is and how he's the one who came to get it and everything. And that's where, Haley, she's being a teenager and kind of just like freaking out and lashing out at everybody, and she gets put in check just because, like they're all freaking out, so there's no reason to, get upset with one another. But that reveal at the end is just terrifying because, first of all, like as a reader, like when you're reading this the first time, you're like, okay, they're at Reggie's house. Reggie's obviously a cool guy. Like, he's letting them in. Everything seems to be cool. He's tight with Kelly because they're partners. And then you see like, what the fuck? Like, why is Waylon in Reggie's house, right? Like, I remember reading this the first time when it came out. And I was thinking to myself, like, why the fuck is Waylon in Reggie's house? Like, oh my god, like this big like cliffhanger from Kirkman. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like shit's gonna
Yeah.
go down.
Yeah.
And what did
Yeah.
you guys think of that
He
review?
loves his cliffhangers. That's all I'm gonna say. Kirkman loves to end his issues on cliffhangers, and that's another one.
Yeah,
Oh,
good
it
issue.
was a nice page turn for sure. He's saying the temple, like they're after him. They want his power, and like just hear, like you see foolish man, and like right away just the words, like you kind of like just assume it's gonna be Waylon. Just the sass he has, and then just the awesome line, like he says, oh, there's such many things you don't know, Owen Johnson, and then he kind of just spits out, oh, that's such a terrible name. As we
Love the
saw,
callback to
that
OG.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
an awesome callback. I did absolutely love that. So yeah,
yeah,
good stuff there. And also going back to it now, it does look like this whole issue does have all black like the black borders. I know they're switching in and out on that on the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
couple issues, but
Yeah.
this one's all black.
Love that. And great issue overall. I just realized for the first time that in this issue, someone named Joe Frank emails suggestions for the letter Collins name, and one of them is Roast Office. And I think that's the one they end up going with based on his suggestions. So that's really cool. Never really realized that until I reread this issue. Love the letter section of Firepower. One thing I especially love is RC Coda. This RC Coda was a bit like filler, not too much, that they mention about the book specifically. I like that they talk about some panel compositions, like for example, is this like fixation, like Chris is saying how he likes to draw pages with 3 panels because it lets him do action, but he doesn't want and Kirkman was joking like, okay, maybe I'll just do like an issue where I just do 3 panels, and he's like, like while it's nice to draw, it's not like the best for progressing the story because I still have to do storytelling. And like sometimes you can't just do that at 3 panels. You need more. So it was really interesting to see like the mechanics of how they work with interior comic book pages and all that, and the planning and everything. I thought that was really cool. Also found out apparently Kirkman did Jubilee at Marvel, which like I love Kirkman. I never knew that. I knew he did Marvel Team Up. I knew he did Marvel Zombies. I had no idea this dude wrote Jubilee. Like that just doesn't seem like something Kirkman would do. You know what I mean? Like Jubilee. But I mean, hey, more power to you, bud. And he's just like, yeah. So I thought it was funny how he says like, I've got Rocketeer and Capone Kansas, but like somebody's never heard of Jubilee. I thought that's like a little funny, them just like joking. But yeah, I mean, I love that. He's saying like, here he says, I wonder if the readers understand quite how complicated this stuff is. You've got June throwing the chain into the car, so you've got to show the chain going into the car. I've got Owen climbing outside so that Kelly can drive. He's outside the window, getting on the roof. The car keeps driving. They're swerving. To be able to have all these elements fit in these panels and read from panel to panel, it's a real alchemy. It's just really impressive. Now I'm on top panel of page 18 where Owen starts forming his fireball that he's going to throw at Kanabo. Because the car is moving so fast, the fireball is kind of being blasted around him by the wind, which is just super dynamic. And then, Somni says, I was so afraid that I was going to botch all these. I'm glad you liked them. I'm trying to make a Terminator 2 style chase scene work in a comic. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to pull it off. It was a tough few weeks to try and make sense out of it. Please don't do it again. Yeah, I really like that. Like they give you, it's like director's commentary, like Ryan said from the Invincible podcast before. So I really love these insights into the creative process, and especially just hearing like from one of my personal favorite artists. It's just really cool to see how he does his planning, how he approaches these things and everything. And just little quirks and jokes that they do between the two. I really found it interesting that he really enjoys drawing Owen and Waylon.
Yeah, that was one thing. That was one thing I did notice for sure, which is probably a good thing because they're two of the main characters. So yeah, that's a good thing he likes to draw them for sure. It's a good sign. But one thing I did really like, and we've seen like how great their dynamic is working together. But like just that little, I think Ali pointed it out, like that little passage of time when Doug was getting kind of bandaged up, or no, Kelly Sordrin was getting bandaged up, but there was a little like script and art conflict, and I just love the way like Kirkman, it doesn't even sound like he even like told Somni was an issue. Like he just quickly changed something himself, like for what Somni put down, because it worked. He wanted to show the passage of time, so they panned away from the car opposed to actually going in and showing what was going on. So he just quickly changes something and it's no big deal and go on to the next thing. And I love it. He's kind of just apologizing for it, but it just works out. Man. You gotta love their chemistry.
He's apologizing, and I don't think that he read that Robert's complimenting him. So it's really funny. Like he's apologizing, and Robert's like, "Dude, you did me a favor," and he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." It's just like, dude, like, but I like that like Chris kind of put his foot down and was like, "Well, yeah, like I'm never gonna do everything that you say I should do because it's a collaboration," and I really like that. I like that, like that's true. Yeah. Like there is give and take. Like part of the collaboration isn't just like the writer trying to put into words what he wants you to do, but also your interpretation of how you're going to convey that, right? Like because that's also a completely different thing. Because what I say to someone, like if I say like do this, their interpretation of what you said is also very different than what you think. So it's really interesting to see that that crossover
That
and just that. Yeah.
and that'd be hard too, having that third party in there, that big IP, DC or Marvel, telling you everything. Like it's like you have the
Yeah.
writer and the artist communicating, but then you have that third IP saying what you can and can't do, pretty much creating the whole story almost at times. Like so, I love this model for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, awesome issue. Another issue with the cliffhanger ending, and another issue where basically all we do is compliment Chris Samney, Russ Wooten, and Matt Wilson because god damn it, they do such a good job. And on to the next one, which is Firepower number 6, the last issue of Volume 2 of this arc. So yeah, we pick up right from the end of last issue, which is, awesome. Love that we mentioned that earlier. And yeah, he just says, "Oh my God, Waylon," and you see Owen. This is Power 6 now. We see Owen pretty ecstatic at the reveal that Waylon is still alive, but at that same time, it's a very quick change of emotional pace in that page because we go from like ecstatic to see him to Kelly just kind of, pulls him from the side and just is like, "Yo, can you see that?" Like, and then they notice on his hands that he has a tattoo, and that it's the tattoo of the, what do you call it, of the Order of the
Scorched
Flaming
Earth.
Fist, or
No,
is it
Scorched
Scorched
Earth.
Earth?
Scorched
I
Earth.
always get them confused. So it's the Scorched Earth clan tattoo, and we see that basically Waylon has switched his allegiance, and that's what gets Owen pissed.
And I would be pissed too, his entire
Yeah.
time, 15 years at the, well, probably not 15 years, but his entire time at the temple, they've been taught that the Scorched Earth clan is like trying to release the dragon and end the world, and their whole purpose is to protect it and fight them. And now your master, you're like the person you look up to, has joined them.
Almost
I would
like
feel
a
angry and
father
betrayed
figure
too.
as well, right? Because he's an
Absolutely,
orphan.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because as a reader, this is also the first time we find out, like, in that very moment where, like, he's freaking out and he's angry, that, like, Reggie's like, "Oh, master, should I?" And you're just like, "What, Reggie?" Like, I feel like Kelly's reaction is all
Yeah,
of us,
that
like,
was
"Reggie."
good.
Yeah,
That was good.
Reggie.
That was
Like,
good.
what?
And one thing I actually did want to point out, just because we mentioned this last issue, was like on that second page when like he freaks out, he sees Wei Lun, and the anger on his face, like it's really just like that last issue when he like goes all rage mode to protect his family because his family's there. He's like he goes right into that bear mode or whatever you were saying earlier, and just goes right at it. But just goes and questions them, but yeah, just goes and pokes it out. I love how they don't show you really what's wrong too. Like Kelly sees something, but it doesn't really know. It puts it up to mystery. But then he kind of reveals the tattoo, and then you're like, oh shit, like what's going on? This issue is a lot of explanation, and yeah, no, this is really big issue with a lot of cool reveals too, and some cool fights between the two. I think this is the first time they've met, right? Since the prelude. I
This
think they
reminds
mentioned
me
that.
of
Right?
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
first time like Sinestro and Hal meet. You know how like
Yeah,
Hal's all like cocky, like he's just like happy, he has his ring, and Sinestro's like, "Ha ha, little bitch." You know what I mean? Like he's just like, "You really think you know what you're doing? Like let me show you." And like Wei Lun is like kind of the same here, where he's just like he kind of like Wei Lun just like humors him. He kind of like lets him hit him. You know what I mean? He's just like, I can tell he's angry. Let's let him like get some of that steam, like blow some of that steam off, and he kind of humors Owen at first, and that's when he tells Reggie like, "Don't even worry about it. Like I can take care of myself." And he literally just instantly flips the whole thing and puts Owen on his ass. And it's a very cool move because he's an old dude, and just to be able to do that right away like that against someone like Owen as well, no less. And you get that close up shot of the Jordans as well in this issue, and God bless, that's all you really need. But yeah, you get this little fight between the two, and it's just like it reminds me of like a fight in a Marvel comic book, like in an old Marvel or DC comic, where like the two heroes like meeting each other for the first time or whatever, inevitably just fight, and then they're gonna make up and just go team up. You know what I mean? Like that's what's gonna happen.
The,
like,
the obligatory fight before team up.
Yeah. Like the obligatory like, oh, we'll fight and then team up, and that's just what's happening here. Except the dialogue's actually well written here, but you know what's gonna happen. And yeah, I like how there's this commentary on the part of it's very in character for Wei Lun to be like critiquing his fighting while they're just like having this like thematic explosive, like, discussion of, like, like good and
Yeah.
bad, and, like,
Yeah,
like
very
whose
much
side
like
you're on.
that first fight, right? Like the first.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Just I love that he's just like, it's like he's just still judging him like all these years. He's definitely one of his best students, the only person to master the firepower, and he's still giving him shit about like all his form. I love that little cheeky dig at Owen when he's like, that always leaves you open for, and then he blocks it, and he's like, I taught you that, and then fucking Owen just smacks him in the face, and Kelly's like, I taught him that. It's just like,
I like
really?
that.
As-
Just
I
a
love
normal, just a old fashioned, just uppercut right to the jaw. We like those, but no, he got some good contact for sure, and he's a little shook on that one. No, but I like her face on that one, like you said. Like I taught him that. She's just full confidence. They have full confidence in each other, which you really like to see. But this next page really like leads to it's kind of an odd page, like to be honest. Like it's very deserving of its own double page spread. Like when you flip to it, and you're flipping to the reveal of Owen literally just asking, like he wants the truth from Wei Lun, like what's going on, why does he have this tattoo, and you find the reveal that the dragon is real, and that's what Wei Lun says, and it's not much is going on in this panel, but it's just I love it. It's so deserving of its own double page spread, like, and it's just kind of like a drop the book and kind of just sit there kind of moment. Like it kind of just changes the whole book, because when we saw it, right, like he goes in the dragon chamber and it's just like completely empty, right? So it's
This
kind
is how you know you're reading a Kirkman book, when he does shit like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
loves doing this. Is like a signature Kirkman.
They mentioned the RC Coda too. He's done in
Yeah.
Walking Dead, Invincible.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
from Invincible
Oh.
that I can never forget. The one with, oh my god, what was his name? The bald one. What was his name? The bald Conquest.
Oh,
Conquest.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the one that immediately came
Yeah.
to mind.
Yeah. For me, like I love this page, and I want to give credit to something Robert and Chris, or one of them or both of them, mentioned in the RC Coda, which is the lettering in this page by Russ Wooten. The dragon is real. First of all, the red for the font, and then the entire red on the border of the bubble is amazing. It really calls to attention the seriousness of the moment, and it moves your eyes towards the text because it's in full red. It's kind of like, when you read one of those signs that are like no entry and they're like in the red border and stuff like that. It's kind of like this, but the text being in full red in caps lock really brings your attention to it, and it also heightens the sense of like the seriousness, the vibes of this page, like you said. So yeah, I love this page. The very Kirkman-esque page. I love what Wooten did with the lettering on this page. It really sticks out, and yeah, just awesome page. And this is like, I remember reading this again for the first time, and I was like, I didn't know what to make of this page, because I was like I do like it, but I mean, like, as a reader, as like someone who's absorbing this, I'm like, is this real? Like, I'm still like reading, I was like still like confused, like, is it really real? Like, or is he just like crazy? Because like there's so much shit happening, right? Like this person literally switched sides. Like there's people getting killed. There's fucking kids getting like tossed out of cars in the middle of nowhere. So just
for
like,
sure. Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but I understand why Owen is like doubting. Like even though he tells him it's real, all of it, and Doug's like, dragon? But like I understand why Owen, is that, because even he says, he's like, please explain all of this to me, because nothing makes sense anymore. And he's like, trust me, I know the feeling. But that's where we get the exposition dump after what happened after Ling Zan's death. And I want to give more credit to Matt Wilson. Both of them mentioned in the coda how during the flashbacks he kind of tones down the overall colors to create the effect that, like, oh, we're in a flashback. I fucking love that. That is some masterful shit right there. Like, truly, like, it's so seamless. It's the kind of thing that when you're reading, it seems minor, because it's just it's not minor. This is the kind of thing where someone is so good that they're making it look effortless. And this is an example of that, where like Matt Wilson, his coloring, this distinction, the contrast between like the current time and the flashbacks is so masterfully done that it looks like it's something easy. It looks like whatever, but it's not. This is amazing. So
And
I want to give him credit for that.
just to add to that too, the borders, like everything up to this point has the black borders everywhere, and then in that page when he starts the flashback, it actually fades into the white,
Yeah.
and then all the panels have those like squiggly lines. Like there's so many little details that all together they work to, whether you realize it or not when you're reading it, you like, even subconsciously it leads you to knowing that it's a flashback that's not happening right now, or is retelling a story or whatever.
And that like the way that this is basically a clash of ideals because it's not only a clash of clans, haha, but it's also, the ideals of those clans, what they believe in. And I love that final page of the final panel of the flashback where you get half of Chang's face and half of half of Chu Feng's face and half of Wei Lun's face, as if like that's the embodiment of that clash, both like, physically, mentally, everything. I thought that was such a cool way to convey that. So really, really liked that layout. I liked how sudden that you get that huge page where all of a sudden the dragon's claw breaks into the room and everyone's just like utterly shocked. Do you know what I mean? Like I just love that page. It reminds me so much of like a page from Amazing Spider-Man where like the Sinister Six would like pop into the page because a lot of times they use the space like that because the Sinister Six are very animated characters, I guess you could say. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. Such an awesome page. Love that. And I love how heroic Wei Lun is in that moment. Like how he's immediately his first thought, even though his life is at danger and everything, his first thought is to make sure that Owen and his family get the fuck out of there and get somewhere safe. So, I really like that. I like to see that connection between him and his former student. And I thought that the panel where and Kirkman referenced this in the RC Coda, you could see like Haley kind of like falling, and then Reggie's like jumping up to move out of the way of the thing. That's just such a funny. She looks hilarious there. Like it's so funny. I even Kirkman thought it was. I thought that was funny. It looks super funny. I love it. But yeah, even Doug like in the panel right after that, where he's literally falling into like Owen's arms. Like look at his face. Man, this comic is funny, man. Like genuinely in the background, there's some really funny shit in some of the issues happening. Like if you really pay attention, and this is one of them. Like the kids in this page.
This is the shit I love. Like it's not like just punchlines or quips in your face. It's just organic humor. Like it's just like shit that's funny. Like an old like I don't know like I don't know what to compare it to, but no, it's really just organic humor throughout even the fighting and stuff, and just the facial expressions, and leads to another awesome fight here. I think you mentioned this earlier, like that quick kick to the guy's face right there. It like blurs out and saying, "I'm not leaving you," trying to protect his family. But no, this was a good scene. Actually, one thing I did want to quickly go back to and mention was something I was wondering was, I think Wei Lun mentioned of Shou Fang being like the only one actually knowing about the real truth behind the temple. So kind of setting him up as knowing a little more than everything else. Like he kind of seemed nice at first in the OGM, but
that's a
really
good point.
shows here kind of maybe knows
he's like the protagonist, or sorry, he's the next antagonist. They're kind of building him up right now as like, oh, is he really the bad guy? Like, because we like, I guess like you said, like we looked at last issue, we're like, oh, maybe Wei Lun's the bad guy, and now we get the heel turn. It's like, no, like Wei Lun's actually the good guy. Chu Feng is the asshole.
Yeah. No, and this was this it kind of just explains like he left to go, and kind of it just says like the Scorchers clan, they want to release the dragon so they can destroy it, and Shou Fang I guess wants to protect the dragon.
Protect it. Yep.
For like unknown reasons. And
yeah, it's so weird. Like, why would you? We find out later.
A little sus. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little sus for. But yeah, anyways.
But yeah, this fight's chaotic. I mean, it's going on everywhere. The house is breaking down. Everyone's fighting, and even Wei Lun is kind of shook in this moment because he's asking the Dragon's Claw people. I mean, in that moment, I think he's asking Jin, and he's like, "How are you? How is it possible that you are basically it's sorry, let me rephrase that. He says, "You clearly trained at the Temple of the Flaming Fist, but I've never seen you there. How's that possible?" And she says, "Because we're the best of the best students, the Dragon's Claw students, and we only train with the best." So that's interesting that like so Chou Feng has like his own like little private army, right? Like that's like very conflict of interest in my opinion. Like this whole time, you're supposed to be trusting this person who's your ally, like Chou Feng and Wei Lun here, and then like Wei Lun just finds out like, okay, not only is Chou Feng like an asshole who believes in who's a member of the other clan, but he also has literally been training has his own like spy classroom. So it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like that was a pretty big moment. Like that's for me that I never realized that the first time reading around because I guess it's just such a dynamic issue. But yeah, I just realized that again. I was like, wow, like yeah, that's messed up. Like this dude has been, working behind the scenes for a while now, and now everyone knows. But yeah, so even impressive thing is that even for Master Waylon, right, the person who trained Owen, the person who's just giving him all that shit earlier when they were fighting, even for Waylon, they proved to be a challenge. And as we can see in one of the final pages, very Invincible-esque kind of reveal where he just takes a fucking dagger to the heart, like literally, and they just see all this blood flowing out, and it's so visceral because
And a lot of
there's just
blood. A lot of blood.
a lot of blood, a lot of
Yeah.
blood, and there's a page where it reminds me of Invincible. When you remember when you read Invincible and like whenever Invincible was doing something big on the city, and then you see it on TV and you get those page reactions of everyone he knows just reacting like, "Oh my God," and horror.
Yeah, yeah.
And it reminds me of that where, yeah, like Waylon, everyone's just reacting in horror. The entire page is silent. Nobody's talking. There are no words on this page. It's a very visceral, emotional page. It's very sudden, and it just hits you like a truck. Incredible page from everybody. Love it. And yeah, it's very brutal. What she even proceeds by removing the weapon from his chest, which just creates even more splatter. And he just falls on his face into the ground, a pool of blood forming around him. Reggie then jumps to the rescue and tries to distract the dragon's claw, giving the Johnson family an opportunity to escape. And that's when we see that they just hop into the car after Reggie's heroic like a little moment there, and they make a run for it. We see that they've arrived at Bill Johnson's doorstep, and they are all looking terrified. And after that, we're cut back to the house, and we're at Reggie's house, and we see that the dragon's claw didn't actually kill Reggie. They kept him alive, and the only reason that they kept him alive is because they're gonna use him to find the Johnson family. And he's kind of freaking out, obviously, because he's beat to a pulp and he's looking at his dead master on the ground. But except we notice right at the end that even though Waylon is on the ground just bleeding everywhere, he actually moves his eyes, so he's still alive. So love that ending. I remember reading that for the first time. I was like totally just, oh my God, like blown away by how incredible that ending was, and how it was just an emotional roller coaster, because just in like an issue ago you're kind of rooting for this guy to get his ass whooped because you're like, why is this person betraying the Johnson family, and why is he such an asshole, and you realize no, he's not. Like, this guy is a good guy. So it was a very bittersweet moment for the readers. And yeah, I love this issue. What you guys think?
I was shook actually. The first time I read it, I did not notice that he moved his eyes. I finished this issue because I like binged 1 through 12. I wasn't reading it as it came out, and I thought he was dead until I went to the next issue, and then I saw that he was alive. And then when I did the reread this time and read the RC Coda, I noticed that, well, they mentioned the RC Coda, that they added that little eye movement just to give you an indication that he's still alive and something's gonna happen next issue.
Yeah, I like that. He was saying he didn't want to leave people like that for a month. He likes cliffhangers, but not cliffhangers to that extent, kind of thing.
He was a little nicer.
I think he said something he doesn't like. He doesn't like teasing characters' deaths unless they're actually gonna.
He said if I show you the character dying on the cover, they should die by the end of the issue. And I kind of agree with that. Like I personally hate. Yeah, I hate like when they fake deaths. Like, it's okay when someone dies and then years later you find out like they come back or whatever. That's fine, whatever. That's just comics. But I hate when someone like this happens a lot in comics, but especially in the big two, Marvel, DC, where you see a cover and it's like teasing two characters that are gonna fight, or someone dying or someone getting married, whatever. And then that never happens. Or just like the most shallow form sense of that thing happens. I remember Teen Titans Academy, like there was an issue like 11 or something where Shazam and Red X are on the cover, and they look like they're about to beat the shit out of each other. And then you read the issue and they don't even touch each other in the issue. There's literally one moment where they argue for like 2 panels. That's it. They don't even fight, nothing. Like, it was the biggest bullshit bay I've ever seen. So I don't like when they do that. But I do like what Robert did here. I mean, the cover, there was no indication that someone was going to die. I agree with him. I like what he said. Like, it leaves you kind of excited for the next issue because you're like, holy shit, did Wayland survive? And it's good because it makes you think like, what kind of gimmick or what kind of power, what kind of whatever, like, did he use to MacGuffin? Did he use to like survive this one? But yeah, you find out next issue how he survived and everything. It's a very like comic book funny / hilarious like fun explanation. So I enjoyed it personally. But yeah, one thing I really liked about the coda in this issue that they mentioned is that they mentioned how basically what was it that Chris has been forgetting to draw the Jordans in certain issues, but
I didn't notice it. I don't know if I didn't notice.
He said issue 13 he drew his best Air Jordans. So I'm gonna once we get back to that issue, I'm gonna like double check for that because I want to see exactly what he thinks is his best. But yeah, I like that. Basically, Kirkman talked about what kind of tropes he uses in his writing, kind of compared to certain things he did during Outcast. And yeah, like I personally, I like that Kirkman kind of does that thing where he wants you to come back and or ask questions like, oh my God, what happened? Because that's what keeps people coming back for more, especially in these indie kind of comic books where anything can happen. When you're reading DC or Marvel, like a good example, like Dark Crisis, right? Like Garfield or Beast Boy getting killed, right? Like I told Charlotte, like they're not gonna kill Beast Boy. Like they're not gonna do it. Like they're not gonna kill Beast Boy like that. They're just not gonna do it. They don't have the guts. And then in issue 2, you find out Beast Boy's not dead. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Like it just with the big two, like they don't have it's very hard to kill off something that is gonna make you money and merch and all that stuff.
It's hard to have stakes when they're just gonna kill.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, like Damien died, you know what I mean? Remember when Damien died? And then he just came back, no problem. So Alfred's the only one. Alfred and Uncle Ben are the only two people, and it seems like
Uncle Ben doesn't really count in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I agree with Alfred. But Uncle Ben is
coming back. They said in Batman Robin. Alfred.
Alfred.
Alive.
Okay, I thought Uncle Ben. I was like, what the fuck?
So and that's not like a spoiler because like it's literally in the solicit. It says that Alfred's back to life somehow. I'm assuming it has to do with magic since the whole event has to do with magic. But yeah, like that's my point. I like that these like indies, when you're reading them, they have stakes, and for many reasons. Obviously, Kirkman is the writer who writes in that style, writes in that way. He likes to, his books have stakes, but also at the same time, you don't have, with indies, you don't have the same. You're not afforded the same privileges that you are working in the big two, where the characters have years of exposure and many audiences are very familiar with them. Where it was in indie, you kind of have to build from the bottom up. You have to, you're exposing those characters to audiences for the first time. It's very different. So yeah, like I understand them they have to make moves, and you can't even see it in like Radiant Black, another show we podcast for, where Radiant Black they had to, Kyle talks about how Kyle Higgins, the writer, talks about how he had to move up the revelation and the big like heel turn of the story to issue 4 because when you're doing indie comics in this day and age, you don't know how far before it's going to get canceled or people really enjoy it. So you kind of have to give people a reason to come back. And I like that. I like that about these comic books, about how they, about how they work those into their story elements and everything. And Firepower has a lot of that. There's a lot of death in Firepower, surprisingly. We've already seen quite a bit. And yeah, like I don't know. I'm just happy Doug and / or Haley didn't die in this issue. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how.
Or peanut butter.
Or peanut butter, yeah.
Yeah.
I've emailed Robert like in the letter for the letters before. I don't know if he's like actually read it. I guess like the editor, or the person who handles the coda would have read it, and the letter section. I think that's, I forgot who does the roast office who deals with that. But yeah, like
I was just like,
Makowitz? Is it Sean? Is it Sean? Yeah. So yeah, I was like, look, if you kill peanut butter, we riot. And I'm not even the first person who's said that. Like there's been a few letters who've said that, like actual published letters in the comic where like, look, you kill peanut butter, we're gonna riot.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you can kill off anybody, just don't kill off like Haley, Doug, or peanut butter. Like I don't know if I could live with those. So, but anyway, yeah. I love this issue. I really did. I love the first, or I guess the second, but I'm gonna call it the first because the OGN for me was really just one book. I love the first arc of Firepower, the first the first 6 issues. I really really sold me on the series. I also love, like we talked about this before, but how different the first 6 issues are from the OGN. It's very different. Like it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, very. It's almost like a different book, almost kind of in some ways. But yeah, overall, looking forward to covering the next volume in the next episode. And yeah, how are you guys excited to be covering volume? I guess volume 3 next.
Hell yeah. It gets better and better because like those first 6 issues of volume 1 or volume 2, whatever you want to call it, it slowly, like the pacing slowly increases action wise from issue to issue until the climax here with the big fight with the dragon's claw and Waylon getting stabbed, and then the next arc slows down a little bit in the beginning, because they try to explore the new revelations and explain what's happening now. But the next, I don't know how, 12 issues or so, it just keeps getting better and better and better, and I can't wait to get into all of that.
Yeah, it just flushes the world out a little more, and can't wait to see what's coming. I did one of the last things they did say in this RC Coda is, or Chris said specifically, is he kind of like, he's done a bunch, but he thought like issue 6 was when he thought like he kind of got the hang of firepower, which I like to hear, considering just how like hard he is on his own work kind of thing. So so it was actually good seeing him say that. And yeah, this book is just so fresh, and like they say, like it, or like I say, I hate over narration boxes. I hate nothing more than when a writer tries to explain exactly what you're seeing on the page, and it's like, why am I reading this? It's like I know what's happening, like I can see it. And that's what this book is so good at. It's a show don't tell kind of book, and I absolutely love that.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And that's an excellent point about the Chris feeling settled by this time. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, and one last thing we'll end on before we leave everyone. I'll give you the specifics for issue 25. But what was written in the issue 24 in the back was this is directly from the Firepower team, and this was in the back of Firepower 24. So no spoilers, so don't worry. We've already committed to a big return for issue 25 and continuing after that. I think Chris enjoys them more than he lets on. Wait, he's not here to defend himself. Yes, Chris actually enjoys them immensely. And then they said, be sure to come back for the epic conclusion to this arc, which acts as a setup for our massive issue number 25 and beyond. I said from 24, this was from issue 23, so my mistake. And they said, it's going to be epic. Did I say that already? Well, it's true. See you all back there then. And then the last thing, which is Chris Salmon actually recently posted that Firepower Volume 5 is coming out November 2022. It has a really cool, unique cover for the trade paperback, and it's called Flaming Fist, and it collects issues 19 to 24. So for those of you who have yet to read that volume, that's coming out in November. Check it out. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. Stay roasty.